Every second counts. Not tomorrow. Not next year. Right now. While you're scrolling, someone else is building. While you're hesitating, someone else is deciding. While you're waiting for the perfect time, someone else is winning with imperfect action. Time doesn't slow down for your doubts. It doesn't pause for your fear. It doesn't care about your excuses. In the United States, the difference between average and elite isn't talent, it's urgency. The people who move fast, who execute daily, who treat minutes like money, they separate themselves. You don't lose in a day. You already know every second counts. But now we need to go deeper, because saying it is easy. Living it is different. Right now, somewhere in America, someone wakes up before the alarm. Not because they feel motivated. Not because they watched a perfect morning routine video. But because they understand something most people ignore: time is not money. Time is life. Money can return. Status can return. Opportunities can be recreated. But a second? Once it passes, it becomes permanent history. And most people don't lose their dreams in dramatic ways. They lose them quietly, in comfortable rooms, in soft chairs, in "I'll start Monday," in "I'm still young," in "I need more preparation." Preparation is important, but over-preparation is fear wearing a professional outfit. You don't need another year to think. You need courage to move. Look at how seconds actually disappear. You wake up and check your phone for just 5 minutes. That turns into 20. You tell yourself you'll start after coffee, after breakfast, after one more scroll. And before you realize it, the edge of urgency is gone. The day feels ordinary again. Ordinary days build average lives. And average is expensive, because average costs you your potential. The uncomfortable truth is this: the world rewards speed of execution more than perfection. Not reckless speed, not sloppy effort, but decisive movement. Decisive people create momentum, and momentum multiplies seconds. One bold decision today saves you months tomorrow. One uncomfortable conversation now saves you years of regret. 1 hour of focused effort daily compounds into a different identity. Most people think success is built in years. It's not. It's built in minutes stacked with intention. If you gave your dream just one fully focused hour every day for the next 365 days, you wouldn't recognize your life. But focus is rare. We live in the most distracted era in history. Notifications are engineered to steal seconds. Platforms are designed to hold attention hostage. Convenience makes procrastination feel harmless. But distraction is not harmless. It's expensive. Every distraction is a withdrawal from your future. Imagine your life as a bank account of time. Every morning you are credited with 86,400 seconds. You cannot save them. You cannot transfer them. At midnight, whatever you didn't use wisely disappears. And the next day you get another deposit, but one day the deposits stop. That's not fear. That's reality. Most people act like they have unlimited deposits. That's why they negotiate with discipline. That's why they delay hard things. That's why they treat today like a rehearsal. This is not rehearsal. This is the only live performance you get. The high performers in the United States, entrepreneurs, athletes, creators, leaders, they don't necessarily have more talent. They just respect seconds differently. They move before they feel ready. They launch before they feel perfect. They speak before their voice stops shaking. And that's the difference. You don't become confident and then act. You act and then confidence follows. You don't find time. You make time. You don't wait for clarity. You earn clarity through movement. The biggest lie people believe is, "I still have time." Maybe you do. Maybe you don't. But what if you treated today like leverage instead of something to survive? What if you stopped asking, "How do I feel?" and started asking, "What must be done?" Feelings change every hour. Standards build futures. Discipline is simply choosing what you want most over what you want now. And what you want now is usually comfort. Comfort is seductive. It whispers, "You deserve a break," even when you haven't earned one. It says, "Relax, you worked hard yesterday." Even when yesterday was mediocre. Comfort feels safe, but it keeps you small. Growth lives in seconds that feel slightly uncomfortable. That extra rep when your muscles burn. That extra page when your eyes are tired. That extra email when your brain says, "Tomorrow." Those seconds shape identity. Because identity isn't built in grand moments. It's built in repeated micro-decisions. Every time you choose effort over excuse, you're casting a vote for the person you're becoming. Most people are not lazy. They are inconsistent. They sprint when motivated and disappear when bored. But real transformation is boring. It's repetitive. It's unglamorous. And it happens in silence. If you want a life that stands out, you must be willing to work in moments no one claps for. While others are sleeping in, you're studying. While others are gossiping, you're building. While others are complaining about the economy, you're increasing your skill set. Complaining burns seconds with zero return. Building multiplies them. You cannot control inflation. You cannot control politics. You cannot control algorithms. But you can control how you use the next 60 seconds. And control is power. When you start controlling small blocks of time, your confidence changes. Instead of saying, "I hope things improve," you start saying, "I'm improving." That shift is everything. Hope is passive. Improvement is active. And action shrinks fear. Think about the goals you've been carrying quietly. The business idea, the fitness target, the book, the channel, the promotion, the financial freedom, the version of yourself that feels stronger, sharper, more respected. None of it requires a different year. It requires a different use of today. If you wasted the morning, don't waste the afternoon. If you wasted the afternoon, don't waste the evening. If you wasted yesterday, don't waste this minute by regretting it. Regret also consumes seconds. Learn fast. Adjust faster. Move immediately. Winners are not people who never waste time. They're people who recover quickly. Recovery speed matters. The moment you notice distraction, return to focus. The moment you notice doubt, take action anyway. The moment you notice fear, lean into the task. Courage is not the absence of fear. It's movement in spite of it. Seconds test courage constantly. Every time you hesitate before sending that proposal, before walking into that gym, before hitting publish, before making that call, that hesitation is a fork in the road. On one side, comfort. On the other, growth. You don't need to be extreme. You need to be consistent. Consistency is simply protecting your daily non-negotiables. 1 hour of deep work. 30 minutes of learning. Movement for your body. Reflection for your mind. If you protect those, your life shifts. Because seconds accumulate. Small daily investments turn into massive returns. 5 pages a day becomes 1,800 pages a year. $10 saved daily becomes thousands with time. One meaningful conversation daily becomes a powerful network. Seconds compound, but so do wasted seconds. 1 hour of distraction daily becomes 365 hours a year. That's over 9 full work weeks lost to scrolling. Imagine what 9 focused weeks could do for your life. You don't need more time. You need fewer leaks. Audit your seconds. Where do they go? Who gets them? What earns them? If something doesn't align with your future, it doesn't deserve your time. That doesn't mean never relax. It means relax intentionally. Choose rest. Don't default to escape. Rest should recharge you, not replace your ambition. You are capable of more than you've proven. But potential unused is painful. Years from now, you won't regret the days you worked hard. You'll regret the days you could have tried but didn't. You'll regret the risks you avoided more than the risks you took. Because failure teaches. Inaction haunts. There is someone out there right now with fewer advantages than you, moving faster than you. Not smarter. Not luckier. Just urgent. Urgency creates opportunity. The market rewards people who show up daily. Skills reward repetition. Confidence rewards exposure. And exposure requires seconds of bravery. So stop romanticizing the future. Stop waiting for a sign. This is the sign. This second is the invitation. You don't need a dramatic transformation overnight. You need a decision that doesn't expire tomorrow. Decide that your time is valuable. Decide that every day will contain at least one action that scares you slightly. That's how expansion happens. Not in comfort. Not in theory. In execution. If every second counts, then treat it like currency. Spend it where returns are highest. Invest it in skill. Invest it in health. Invest it in relationships that elevate you. Invest it in building something that outlives you. And when you slip because you will, don't spiral. Reset fast. The power is not in perfection. The power is in persistence. 2 hours from now, you could be the same person. Or you could be someone who started. The difference won't be dramatic. It will be a series of seconds where you chose growth over comfort. And those seconds, stacked relentlessly, build a life most people only talk about. Every second counts. Use it. Or watch someone else use theirs to build the life you said you wanted. Next part. And here's the part most people don't want to hear. It's not that you don't have time. It's that you don't have priorities that are strong enough. When something truly matters, you don't negotiate with it. You move. If your phone battery drops to 1%, you panic. You search for a charger immediately. You don't say, I'll plug it in next week. You act. But when your goals are at 1%, when your health is declining, when your finances are fragile, when your skills are outdated, suddenly there's no urgency. Why? Because consequences feel far away, and distant consequences are easy to ignore. But distance is an illusion. The future is built quietly, right now, in decisions so small they feel harmless. Skipping one workout feels harmless. Avoiding one difficult task feels harmless. Delaying one opportunity feels harmless. But those harmless seconds create patterns. And patterns create identity. You don't wake up one day unsuccessful. You arrive there gradually. Just like you don't wake up powerful overnight. You build it gradually. The people who command rooms, who control their finances, who shape industries, they mastered something simple: ownership of their time. Not control of everything. Ownership of their minutes. They understand that attention is the most valuable asset in the modern world. Whoever controls your attention controls your direction. If you can't focus for 30 uninterrupted minutes, you can't build anything extraordinary. Focus is a superpower now. And it's available to anyone willing to protect it. Turn off the noise. Silence notifications. Close extra tabs. Sit with the discomfort of doing one thing without escape. First, it will feel slow, boring, almost painful. That's withdrawal from distraction. Stay there, because on the other side of that discomfort is depth. And depth creates value. Shallow work gets shallow results. Deep work builds rare skill. Rare skill creates leverage. Leverage creates freedom. Freedom is what most people say they want. But freedom requires discipline most people avoid. Financial freedom requires disciplined saving and investing. Physical freedom requires disciplined training and nutrition. Emotional freedom requires disciplined thinking. There's no version of freedom that doesn't demand control over seconds. And control starts with awareness. Start noticing how often you say later. Later is the most dangerous word in the English language. Later kills dreams gently. Later convinces you there's always another chance. Sometimes there is. Sometimes, and you never know which moment was the one that mattered most. What if that idea you keep postponing is the one that changes your trajectory? What if that call you're afraid to make is the one that opens the door? What if that hour of study is the edge that separates you from everyone else competing for the same opportunity? You don't need certainty to act. You need courage to try. And courage grows with repetition. The first bold action feels terrifying. The 10th feels uncomfortable. The 100th feels normal. That's how identity shifts. You become the kind of person who executes. The kind of person who doesn't need external pressure. The kind of person who keeps promises, especially the promises made in private. Self-trust is built when your actions align with your intentions. Every time you say, "I'll start tomorrow," and don't, you weaken self-trust. Every time you say, "I'll do it now," and follow through, you strengthen it. And once self-trust is strong, momentum becomes natural. You stop relying on hype. You stop waiting for motivation. You move because it's who you are. Imagine the version of you who doesn't waste time explaining goals, they're busy building them. The version of you who doesn't complain about competition, they outwork it. The version of you who doesn't fear starting small, they understand scale comes later. That version isn't far away. It's built one disciplined second at a time. Stop measuring progress only in massive milestones. Measure it in integrity. Did you do what you said you would do today? Did you protect your focus? Did you move forward even slightly? Progress is not always loud. Sometimes it's quiet consistency. Sometimes it's choosing to read instead of scroll. Sometimes it's waking up when you don't feel like it. Sometimes it's ending a conversation that drains you. Sometimes it's saying no. No protects seconds. And every time you say no to something misaligned, you say yes to your future. You don't need to be busy all day. You need to be intentional. Busyness without direction is just motion. Intentional action creates impact. There are people working 12 hours a day who are stuck. And there are people working for focused hours who are advancing rapidly. It's not about filling time. It's about directing it. Clarity sharpens seconds. If you don't know what you're building, your time will be stolen by whatever is loudest. Define your target. What skill are you mastering? What income level are you reaching? What physical standard are you setting? What kind of reputation are you building? Be specific. Vague goals create vague effort. Specific targets create sharp action. When you know what you're chasing, seconds become strategic. You stop drifting. You start aiming. And aiming changes everything. Because now every choice has weight. Does this move me closer? Or does it move me away? That simple filter will transform your life if you apply it consistently. You won't always choose perfectly, but awareness will reduce waste. And reduced waste increases speed. Speed, when combined with consistency, is unstoppable. Not chaotic speed, focused speed. The kind where you execute, learn, adjust, repeat. Execute, learn, adjust, repeat. That cycle, repeated for years, creates mastery. Most people quit before mastery because they expect quick validation. But mastery doesn't care about applause. Cares about repetition. And repetition requires respect for time. Respect for mornings. Respect for evenings. Respect for small windows of opportunity. If you only have 20 minutes, use them. If you only have energy for one task, make it count. Stop waiting for perfect conditions. Perfect conditions are a myth. There will always be noise. There will always be doubt. There will always be responsibilities. The question isn't whether life is busy. The question is whether you're disciplined inside the busyness. You can build in chaos if your standards are strong. And standards are decisions repeated daily. Decide that your future matters more than momentary comfort. Decide that distraction is no longer free. Decide that you will not let fear quietly tax your potential. Because that's what fear does. Taxes action. It slows movement. It whispers worst-case scenarios. But most fears disappear the moment you act. Action shrinks imagination. You've spent hours worrying about things that would have taken minutes to handle. That's time you don't get back. So the next time anxiety shows up, respond with movement. Send the message. Submit the application. Start the draft. Walk into the gym. Make the appointment. Movement breaks paralysis. And paralysis is just unused seconds stacked together. You were not given time to play small. You were not given potential to negotiate with it. You were given seconds, raw, powerful, neutral, and the ability to decide how they're used. That's responsibility. And responsibility is empowering when you accept it fully. No one is coming to manage your time for you. No one is coming to rescue your ambition. No one is coming to enforce your standards. It's on you. That might feel heavy, but it's also freeing. Because if it's on you, it's within your control. Right now, not dramatically, but internally. A quiet commitment. I will not waste what I've been given. I will act before I feel ready. I will protect my focus. I will respect my future. And I will remember, every second counts. Not just when it's convenient. Not just when I'm inspired. But especially when it's difficult. Because difficulty is where separation happens. And separation is built in seconds. Now understand this: time doesn't just test your discipline. It exposes your priorities. If someone watched how you spend your last 7 days, they wouldn't need to hear your goals. They would see your truth. Your calendar tells the real story. Your screen time tells the real story. Your habits tell the real story. We don't drift into success. We drift into comfort. And comfort slowly lowers standards without you noticing. First, you skip 1 day. Then you skip 2. Then you say, I'll restart next month. And just like that, momentum is gone. Momentum is fragile. It must be protected aggressively. The powerful thing about seconds is this: they don't require permission. You can change your direction immediately. Not next week. Not after a seminar. Not after motivation strikes. Immediately. One decision can interrupt a pattern. If you've been inconsistent, the pattern ends now. If you've been distracted, the pattern ends now. If you've been doubting yourself, the pattern ends now. You don't need evidence to start. You create evidence by starting. Confidence is built through kept promises. And promises are kept in small windows of time. Stop waiting to feel powerful. Power is a byproduct of action. You think the disciplined person wakes up energized every day. No, they wake up committed. Commitment is stronger than emotion. Emotion fluctuates. Commitment holds. And when you hold your commitment long enough, identity shifts again. You stop saying, I'm trying. You start saying, I am. I am disciplined. I am focused. I am building. Language matters because identity matters. The person who says, I'm bad with time, will always waste it. The person who says, I protect my time, starts acting differently. Your self-image determines your behavior, and your behavior determines how your seconds are spent. So upgrade the identity, not with hype, with proof. Give yourself proof daily, even if it's small. Finish one hard task. Say no once. Wake up on the first alarm. Complete the workout. Study the chapter. Make the uncomfortable move. Stack those proofs. Soon, you won't recognize the old version of yourself. But here's another truth: growth requires sacrifice. If every second counts, then some things must be cut. Not everything deserves access to you. Not every invitation deserves a yes. Not every conversation deserves your energy. Not every opportunity deserves your time. Discernment is power. Busy doesn't mean productive. Popular doesn't mean purposeful. Entertained doesn't mean fulfilled. Be careful what you normalize. If you normalize mediocrity, excellence will feel extreme. If you normalize discipline, laziness will feel uncomfortable. Train yourself to feel uncomfortable when you waste time. That's how standards rise. You don't need to eliminate fun. You need to eliminate unconscious living. Live deliberately. Choose your actions. Choose your responses. Choose your focus. Because if you don't choose, the world will choose for you. And the world's default setting is distraction. There are industries built on keeping you passive. Passive consumers don't build empires. Active creators do. Even if you're not building a company, you are building a life. Every day you're either constructing or eroding. There is no neutral. You're either improving your skills or letting them fade. Either strengthening your body or weakening it. Either increasing your discipline or feeding procrastination. Every second moves you somewhere. The question is, where? Picture yourself 5 years from now. 2 versions. One version respected time, protected focus, took risks, stayed consistent. The other version delayed, overthought, avoided discomfort.
Choses repeatedly.
Those 2 futures are being built right now, in tiny choices. And here's what makes it intense. You won't feel the difference immediately. That's why most people stay stuck. The results of wasted time are delayed. The results of invested time are also delayed. But delay doesn't mean denial. It means compounding. Seconds compound silently. That's why patience and urgency must. Impatience with results causes frustration. Laziness with action causes stagnation. But urgency with patience? That's dangerous in a powerful way. You execute daily without obsessing hourly. You trust the process because you're honoring the seconds. There will be days you feel behind. Days you compare yourself to others. Days you question whether it's worth it. In those moments, remember this. Comparison wastes time. Doubt wastes time. Complaining wastes time. Action never does. Even imperfect action teaches. Even failed attempts strengthen. Even slow progress builds character. Character is forged in repeated disciplined seconds. And character outlasts motivation. When everything feels uncertain, fall back on structure. Wake up at the same time. Work at the same time. Train at the same time. Build routines that reduce decision fatigue. Because every unnecessary decision burns mental energy. Automate what you can. Protect what matters. Simplify where possible. Complex lives scatter seconds. Focused lives multiply them. And don't underestimate recovery. Rest is not weakness when it's earned. Sleep is not laziness when it fuels performance. Breaks are not betrayal when they are intentional. The key word is intentional. If every second counts, then rest must also count. Rest to improve. Rest to think. Rest to sharpen. Not to escape. Habits transfer. Choose wisely. Your future self is shaped by the rooms you tolerate. Don't be afraid to outgrow environments. Growth sometimes feels lonely before it feels powerful. But temporary loneliness is cheaper than permanent regret. And regret is the heaviest cost of wasted seconds. One day you will look back at this phase of your life. You'll either say, "That's when I decided," or you'll say, "That's when I delayed." The difference won't be talent. It won't be background. It won't be luck. It will be how you treated your time when no one was watching. So as this moment passes, and it is passing, decide again. Not loudly. Not for attention. For yourself. Tighten your focus. Raise your standards. Shorten the gap between thinking and doing. Close the distance between intention and action. Because the distance between where you are and where you want to be is measured in disciplined seconds. And they're available to you right now. Every single one. Use them. Or lose them quietly, until one day you realize they were the only thing that ever truly mattered. There's another layer to this. It's not just about using time. It's about becoming dangerous with it. Most people use time casually. High performers weaponize it. They treat morning. Undefined goals create undefined effort. If it matters, schedule it. If it's important, protect it. If it's a priority, prove it. Because time reveals truth. The truth is not what you say you value. The truth is what you repeatedly give time to. And here's the uncomfortable realization. You are already disciplined. Everyone is disciplined, just in different directions. Some people are disciplined at procrastinating, disciplined at distraction, disciplined at overthinking, disciplined at quitting. The question is not whether you're disciplined. The question is where your discipline is pointed. Redirect it. Aim it at growth. Aim it at skill. Aim it at building something that compounds. Because compounding is the secret most people underestimate. 1% better every day doesn't feel dramatic. But over a year, it's transformation. Over 5 years, it's separation. Over 10 years, it's dominance. And it all started with 1 second where you decided to move. The world respects results. But results respect consistency. You cannot demand outcomes without honoring the process. And the process is boring sometimes. Repetitive, quiet, unseen. That's why so few stay in it. They want applause before achievement. Validation before value, recognition before refinement. But refinement happens in isolation. It happens in early mornings when it's still dark. It happens at night when everyone else logs off. It happens when you choose to study instead of settle. Those are the seconds that shift your trajectory. You don't need to post everything. You don't need to announce everything. Build in silence. Let results speak. Because talking about what you'll do burns energy. Doing it builds energy. Action creates momentum. Momentum creates belief. Belief increases action. And the cycle strengthens. But the opposite is also true. Delay creates guilt. Guilt lowers confidence. Lower confidence increases delay. And that cycle weakens. Interrupt the weak cycle. Immediately. Do something small but meaningful. Clean your workspace. Write the outline. Organize your finances. Plan tomorrow intentionally. Tiny actions create psychological wins. And wins create drive. You are closer than you think. But closeness means nothing without movement. Potential means nothing without pressure. Ideas mean nothing without execution. The gap between average and elite is often just tolerance for discomfort. Elite performers tolerate boredom longer. They tolerate repetition longer. They tolerate uncertainty longer. They don't quit when excitement fades. They continue when it's ordinary. Can you continue when it's ordinary? That's the real test. Not when motivation is high. Not when you feel inspired. But when it's just another Tuesday. Another quiet evening. Another routine morning. Can you still execute? Because life is mostly ordinary days. And extraordinary lives are built inside them. Stop waiting for a breakthrough moment. Create breakthrough habits. Habits remove negotiation. When something becomes a habit, it no longer requires willpower. It becomes automatic. And automatic effort multiplies time. You no longer debate whether to work out. You just do. You no longer debate whether to study. You just begin. You no longer debate whether to build. You execute. That's freedom. Freedom from internal arguments. Freedom from emotional swings. Freedom from inconsistency. And it begins with one rule. Do not waste the first hour of your day. Win the morning and the day shifts. Protect the first hour like it's sacred. No scrolling. No reacting. Create before you consume. Build before you browse. Think before the world thinks for you. That first hour sets identity. It tells your brain, I lead. Or it tells your brain, I react. Leaders act first. Reactors catch up. Which one are you becoming? And if you don't like the answer, change it. Now, not dramatically, just deliberately. Stand up. Reset posture. Breathe deeper. Refocus. Take the next step. Momentum doesn't require a perfect plan. It requires a clear next move. What's your next move? Not your 5-year vision. Not your ultimate dream. Your next action. Make it concrete. Make it small enough to start immediately. Then do it. And after that, choose the next. That's how mountains are climbed. Step, step, step. Seconds stacked into progress. You will never feel fully ready. You will never eliminate doubt completely. You will never control every variable, but you can control effort. You can control focus. You can control standards. And those controls are enough. Enough to change your income. Enough to change your body. Enough to change your confidence. Enough to change your entire trajectory. One disciplined year can outperform 5 distracted ones. One focused hour can outperform 8 scattered ones. One bold decision can outperform months of hesitation. So stop underestimating the power of now. The present second is the only leverage you truly possess. The past is unchangeable. The future is unpredictable. But this second, it's obedient. It responds to your command. Command it. Direct it. Use it with intention. Because eventually there will be a last second. Not to create fear, but to create urgency. And when that day comes, the only question that will matter is simple. Did you use what you were given? Or did you assume there would always be more? Every second counts. Not sometimes. Not when convenient. Always. So move. Now, let's go even deeper. Time is not just something you spend. It's something that shapes you while you're spending it. Every second you live is either reinforcing weakness or reinforcing strength. There is no pause button on identity. You are always becoming. When you procrastinate, you're not just delaying a task, you're practicing hesitation. When you avoid discomfort, you're not just protecting feelings, you're training fragility. When you scroll endlessly, you're not just relaxing, you're rehearsing distraction. And rehearsal creates reality. The brain adapts to what you repeatedly do. If you repeatedly choose easy, your tolerance for hard shrinks. If you repeatedly choose focus, your capacity expands. That's neuroplasticity in action, your mind rewiring based on how you use your seconds. So the real danger of wasting time isn't lost productivity. It's identity erosion. You slowly become someone who starts but doesn't finish. Plans but doesn't execute. Talks but doesn't build. And that identity is heavy. Because deep down, you know what you're capable of. Potential without execution creates internal tension. That tension feels like frustration, like restlessness, like dissatisfaction even when life looks fine. You weren't built to just exist. You were built to expand. And expansion requires pressure. Pressure requires time under tension. Just like muscles grow under resistance, character grows under disciplined seconds. No pressure, no growth. No resistance, no strength. So when the work feels heavy, that's a good sign. When the routine feels repetitive, that's a good sign. When the progress feels slow, that's a normal sign. Stop interpreting difficulty as failure. Interpret it as adaptation. You are stretching beyond your current limits. That stretch is uncomfortable. But comfort has never created greatness. Look at any field: business, sports, art, leadership. The top performers didn't stumble into excellence. They outlasted distractions. They outworked doubt. They outdisciplined their old selves. And they did it one day at a time. One focus block at a time. One choice at a time. There's a reason most people stay average. Average feels safe. Average doesn't attract criticism. Average doesn't demand sacrifice. But average also doesn't create impact. If you want impact, you must accept visibility. If you want growth, you must accept mistakes. If you want mastery, you must accept repetition. All of it costs time. But the cost of not trying is higher. Imagine reaching the end of your life knowing you played it safe. Knowing you stayed comfortable. Knowing you had ideas you never tested. Energy you never applied. Standards you never enforced. That's a quiet regret. And regret echoes longer than effort ever hurts. Effort is temporary. Regret lingers. So when you feel resistance to starting, remind yourself, the discomfort of action is short. The discomfort of regret is long. Choose your discomfort wisely. You don't need to transform everything at once. You need to win the hour in front of you. Dominate the current block of time. Not with chaos, with intention. Remove distractions. Define one clear outcome. Work until it's done. Then repeat. This is how empires are built. Not in grand speeches. In focused sessions. The world will try to rush you emotionally and distract you mentally. News cycles. social media trends, other people's drama. None of that builds your future. Guard your mental space like it's sacred, because it is. What enters your mind shapes your decisions, and decisions shape your seconds. Be selective. Not everything deserves your attention. Attention is currency. Spend it where returns are high. Learning, building, strategizing, improving, loving deeply, connecting meaningfully. Those are high-return investments. Random outrage? Low return. Endless comparison? Negative return. Complaining? Zero return. Audit where your emotional energy goes. Energy plus time equals outcome. If your energy is scattered, your results will be scattered. If your energy is focused, your results will concentrate. And concentration creates breakthroughs. Breakthroughs are rarely sudden. They are delayed rewards for consistent effort. You might be closer than you realize. Most people quit right before the breakthrough, because progress feels invisible just before it becomes visible. Stay consistent long enough to see the compounding effect. There will be a day when something clicks, a skill sharpens, an opportunity appears, a result finally shows, and it will look like luck to others. But you'll know, it was stacked seconds. It was the mornings no one saw, the nights no one applauded, the days you showed up anyway. That's what builds credibility with yourself. And self-credibility is powerful. When you trust yourself, fear loses influence. When you trust your work ethic, doubt weakens. When you trust your standards, pressure becomes fuel. So build self-trust deliberately. Set small daily targets. Hit them. Increase gradually. Push slightly beyond comfort. Adapt. Refine. Continue. This is a long game. But long games are won by people who respect short moments. If you can master the next 5 minutes, you can master the next hour. If you can master the next hour, you can master the day. Days become weeks. Weeks become years. Years become legacy. Legacy is nothing more than accumulated disciplined seconds. That's it. There's no secret formula. No hidden shortcut. No magic window of perfect timing. There is only decision and repetition. Decision to act. Repetition to sustain. You will not feel extraordinary while doing ordinary disciplined work. But extraordinary outcomes are born there. Don't chase the feeling of greatness. Chase the habit of effort. Feelings follow behavior, not the other way around. And understand this clearly. No one is coming to push you consistently. No one is coming to wake you up every day. No one cares about your goals as much as you should. That's not negative. That's empowering. Because it means you control the standard. Raise it. Higher than your excuses. Higher than your mood. Higher than your past. Your past does not own this second. Old mistakes do not own this second. Previous failures do not own this second. This second is neutral. It's waiting for instruction. So give it one. Move forward. Even if it's imperfect. Even if it's messy. Even if it's uncomfortable. Because progress beats perfection every time. And momentum beats intention every time. You can think about changing your life for years. Or you can start changing it in the next minute. That minute will pass either way. The question is simple. Will it pass with action? Or will it pass like so many before it? Every second counts. And right now, another one just did. There's something else you need to understand. Time doesn't care about your potential. It only responds to your execution. You can be talented. You can be intelligent. You can have big ideas. But if your seconds are undisciplined, none of it converts into reality. Execution is the bridge between who you are and who you could be. And execution lives in small, controlled moments. Not in hype. Not in inspiration. In repetition. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. If your system is random, your results will be random. If your system is structured, your results will stabilize. Structure protects time. Without structure, your day gets hijacked. Messages pull you. Requests interrupt you. Mood dictates you. And suddenly, the day is gone. You were busy, but not productive. There's a difference. Productive means progress toward something defined. Busy means reacting to everything undefined. High-level performers decide their top priorities before the day starts. They don't wake up and ask, "What do I feel like doing?" They wake up and execute what was already decided. Decision fatigue destroys focus. The more choices you leave open, the more time leaks out. Decide in advance. What time you wake up, when you train, when you work deeply, when you rest. Predictability creates power. Because when actions are pre-decided, emotions don't interfere as much. And emotions are inconsistent. Some days you'll feel unstoppable. Other days you'll feel heavy. But if your standard doesn't change with your mood, growth becomes inevitable. That's maturity. Doing what needs to be done, regardless of internal weather. You are not your mood. You are your decisions. And decisions are made in seconds. Tiny windows where you either give in or level up. When the alarm rings, when the task feels boring, when the workout feels difficult, when the conversation feels uncomfortable. Those are defining seconds. Most people lose in those moments, not because they can't win, but because they hesitate. Hesitation compounds. Confidence also compounds. If you act quickly when you know something is right, you strengthen decisiveness. If you delay repeatedly, you strengthen doubt. Decisiveness is a skill, and it sharpens with use. Make faster decisions about small things. What to wear, what to eat, when to start. Save mental energy for what truly matters. Elite focus is selective intensity. You don't need to care about everything. You need to care deeply about a few things, and protect those fiercely. Your energy is finite. Your time is limited. Your attention is valuable. Stop scattering it. Concentration is rare, and rare creates advantage. If you can focus for 2 uninterrupted hours daily on improving a high-income skill, you will separate yourself within a year. If you can train consistently for a year, your body will transform. If you can save and invest consistently for years, your finances will shift. Consistency outperforms intensity. Small daily deposits outperform random massive efforts. You don't need to burn out. You need to stay steady. Burnout usually comes from misalignment. Doing too much of what doesn't matter. Saying yes to too many things. Chasing validation instead of value. Real progress feels challenging but controlled. Sustainable but demanding. Sharp but balanced. Know the difference between exhaustion from growth and exhaustion from chaos. Growth exhaustion feels earned. Chaos exhaustion feels draining. If your time feels draining, evaluate alignment. Are you building something meaningful? Or are you reacting endlessly? If you're reacting endlessly, take back control. You are allowed to restructure your life. You are allowed to redesign your schedule. You are allowed to say, "This no longer serves my future." But change requires courage. Courage requires a decision. And decisions are made in seconds. There will always be noise around you. People doubting. People questioning. People projecting their limitations. If you wait for universal approval, you will waste years. Move anyway. Silently if necessary. Loudly if required. But move. Silence can be powerful. You don't need to explain your grind. You don't need to justify your ambition. You don't need permission to improve. Let your results do the explaining. When you become consistent, people notice. When you become disciplined, people adjust. When you become focused, opportunities appear. Not magically, strategically, because disciplined people are easier to trust. And trust attracts responsibility. Responsibility increases income. Income increases options. Options increase freedom. Freedom increases impact. And it all starts with disciplined seconds. You can trace every strong outcome back to small repeated actions. There is no dramatic shortcut. No overnight transformation without years of invisible preparation. Stop looking for hacks. Start respecting habits. Habits are boring, but they are powerful. They remove emotion from execution. They make progress automatic. They turn effort into identity. The goal is not to feel motivated every day. The goal is to build a system where action happens regardless. That's strength. When your actions no longer depend on inspiration, you become unstoppable. Because inspiration is temporary, discipline is reliable, and reliability builds reputation. With yourself first, then with others. Imagine becoming someone people depend on. Because you always deliver. Because you always show up. Because you always finish. That reputation starts privately. In seconds no one sees. When you choose to finish instead of quit. When you choose to focus instead of drift. When you choose to push instead of pause. Those invisible choices create visible results. And visible results change how the world treats you. But more importantly, they change how you see yourself. Self-respect grows when effort grows. Self-doubt shrinks when proof increases. So give yourself proof. Daily. Small but undeniable proof. And protect your momentum. Momentum is fragile at first. But once it builds, it carries you. Like a train slowly picking up speed. Hard to start. Impossible to stop once fully moving. Your job is to get it moving. Push through the early resistance. Accept the slow beginning. Stay consistent long enough for acceleration. Because acceleration is earned. And it feels different. When you reach that phase, discipline feels lighter. Focus feels natural. Execution feels automatic. But it only comes after commitment. So commit fully. Not halfway. Not occasionally. Fully. Decide that wasted time is no longer acceptable. Decide that drifting is no longer normal. Decide that average effort is no longer tolerated. Raise your internal bar. No one else will do it for you. And once you raise it, guard it. Protect it from laziness. Protect it from comparison. Protect it from old habits trying to return. You are evolving. And evolution requires separation from your past self. Not rejection. Separation. The old version served its purpose. Now it's time to upgrade. Upgrade your standards. Upgrade your habits. Upgrade your circle. Upgrade your focus. Not tomorrow. Now. Because this second is shaping who you are becoming. And it will never come back. Every second counts. So count yourself in. Build. Execute. Before this moment becomes another memory of hesitation. And if this message hit you, don't let it fade. This isn't just motivation. This is your reminder. At the Motivational Audiobook spot, we don't just inspire action, we build discipline, focus, and relentless execution. If you're ready to stop wasting seconds and start building your edge, subscribe now. Turn on notifications. Commit to growth. Because the next version of you is built one decision at a time. And your next decision starts here.